the amount of time that you pray, I think it's really dependent upon your relationship with God. So let me give you an example, right? Let me give you an example. If you have a baby, okay, and your baby's like, say, 2-3 months old, okay, no, let's say 5-6 months old, 7 months, 8 months, it doesn't matter. So if you have a baby, like 8-9 months old, and they start to talk, what do you think is a good amount of conversation? What amount of time is good conversation with you and a 9-month-old baby? And the answer is the baby's gonna be like, mama. And you'd be like, "Whoa, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard." And that one word is actually enough for that level of a relationship, right? Wouldn't you say that? Yeah, that's enough. That one word is enough. However, if you move to a teenager and the teenager's just like, mom, and then the conversation ends there, then you're going to be a bit frustrated. For a baby, one word is okay, but for a teenager, yeah, you want to have, you expect to have at least 30 minutes of conversation a day, something along that line. And when it comes into adulthood, when you have really deep conversations, the conversations can go for hours. So I would say these two things are very important. Like the most important one is God number one priority or not? And I would say that would be the first thing that you should really think about is God number one in my life, right? And I'm not going to go like compare like apples and oranges, like, hey, if you're working 8 hours a day, then you should be praying 8 hours a day. And like, no, I'm not talking about that at all, right? But it's compared to the things, these things, other things that you do when it comes especially to relationships. Who's the number one person in your life? And as people of faith, it's supposed to be God. Now, the level of relationship I just talked about here too, the amount of time you pray to God or have conversation with God, like I said, it's really dependent upon what's the level of your relationship. So I would say check your priority first. Is God number one in your life? And then number two, I would say, then check the relationship. If you're someone who's mature in faith, I don't think a mature relationship between you and God is a 5-minute prayer. I don't think, right? I think a very mature relationship with God, you would be spending, some days you'd spend hours, possible, right? And some days you spend a couple, not as much time, but it's that real relationship you have. Like if you're married, what happens? When you're married, you don't have 5-hour conversations every single day. Some days you have small talk. Some days, you talk about what happened during your day. Some days you talk long, some days you talk short. And it really depends on that relationship. So I would say that, the amount of time you actually pray, it would depend on the level of your relationship. But before your level of relationship, number one, I would check first is your priority in life, right? Your priority, is God number one in your life or not?